frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Hello. I just wanted to introduce myself and just do a quick little video here, just letting people know why I'm doing this channel and what my goal with the channel is. Because I've never done anything like this before, any kind of YouTube thing or really been on video or anything like that. So just to give a little bit of personal information, my name's Dave. And I'm going to be going by the moniker or whatever, Trekkie Dave. And where that comes from is I've been a Star Trek fan my whole life, a huge fan. And I'm 52 years old, and my mother, Marjorie, who I would describe as the original Trekkie, because she truly was. She was a Trekkie back in the 1960s when the original series was on, and she just loved it. She loved everything about it, and she loved Gene Roddenberry and his vision, his humanist vision of a potential positive future for mankind and for humanity. And my mom embraced the whole Trekkie name. Like, she was known as the Trekkie in our neighborhood, which is kind of funny. But I remember multiple people in our neighborhood, when they would talk about my mom, would say, well, go talk to the Trekkie about it, which is kind of funny. So, and I know that years later, the term Trekkie became kind of, not derogatory, but people didn't want to be called Trekkies. They wanted to be, I believe it was Trekkers. But to my mom, she was always a Trekkie until the day she died. So this channel I'm starting because it's not just my views on Star Trek, but I'm also wanting to communicate her views. Because my mom thought about Star Trek a lot. It was a big part of her life. She wasn't just a fan. It was more than that. She read Star Trek books, and she really thought about what Roddenberry was trying to do when he created Star Trek. So I'm going to take the moniker Trekkie Dave in honor of my mother, because I think she'd appreciate that. So my mother, she died of breast cancer 25 years ago. And just recently, we found out I had an incident at work where my left side wasn't working, and we thought initially when I was taken to emergency that I had had a stroke, but it ended up being that I have a brain tumor that they can't get rid of. It's the type of tumor that it simply is what it is. So I've been given a prognosis now. I've had surgery, and I have to go in for chemo and radiation. And I've been given a prognosis of approximately a year, if I'm lucky, around a year, 8 months to a year. So while I was in the hospital before the surgery, but I got released before having to go back for the surgery. So I have a wife and 2 kids. I have a family, and I'm only 52 years old, like I said. So I mean, my life is obviously, like most people, my life has been about working. And my life has been about setting us up for my retirement, which, we had hoped would be, 15 years from now or so. And suddenly it's like, well, guess what, Dave, you're retired because you can't work anymore and you only have a very limited time left. So when we got back from the hospital, my 2 boys, so I have 2 teenage boys, one 15 and one 17, they had called us when we were coming home and asked what movie Dad would want to watch. And I've been thinking a lot lately about Star Trek, the motion picture, the film that came out in 1979, that was directed by Robert Wise and produced by Gene Roddenberry. And the reason why I think that movie specifically has been on my mind so much is because it was my mom's favorite movie. My mom actually had two favorite movies, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir and Star Trek the Motion Picture. And what always struck me about Star Trek the Motion Picture was her just undenying love of that film. She probably watched that film 500 times. Like, I'm not exaggerating. She loved it that much. It was crazy. And one of the most vivid memories I have of that movie is I saw it with her in the theater. And this is December 7th, 1979 in Vancouver. We went to go see Star Trek the Motion Picture. And I liked it. Like, you know, I was a 10-year-old kid. I thought it was a good film. I mean, I liked it, but I didn't love it the way she loved it. I mean, I loved a lot about it when I first saw it as a child. Like, I recognized that this was a huge leap forward for Star Trek. Something that had been not campy exactly, but, you know, a product of the 1960s. It had the production value of something, you know, I wouldn't say it had cardboard sets, but, you know, it was the best they could do with the budget and the time that they had in the 1960s. So even as a child, I recognized immediately seeing this film, like just the scope of it. It just had a 2001 A Space Odyssey feel and vibe to it. Like, this was beyond anything Star Trek was ever able to accomplish on the small screen. So I recognized that. But what I was really struck by when I went to the film with my mother is how emotional she was about it. That just didn't strike her. Everything she was affected by with this film, and she was emotionally connected. She loved it. Like, not loved it, I mean, she freaking loved it. This was the greatest film ever made, and it was like the ultimate presentation of Gene Roddenberry's future vision. And my mom and I had long conversations before her death about this film, watching the film together. So when I came home from the hospital, my boys wanted to watch it, where I'm like, boy, you know, you guys are clearly worried about me when you're wanting to watch Star Trek the Motion Picture. We watched it together, and I gave them a running commentary as we were watching the film about conversations I had had with my mom, stuff I had never told my boys before about that film. And when we were done with it, my youngest son, Ethan, was like, that's incredible. You should videotape that, because I've never heard a commentary like that, and you know a lot about it, and you know, that's really interesting. So that's what was the nucleus of this idea, or the beginning, the spark of this idea of starting this channel, because I want to get that down. The first video I'm going to do, which will probably be like a week from now. So this today is just an introduction, so you know who I am. But I'm going to do an analysis of Star Trek the Motion Picture. And these are not just my ideas. These are my mom's views on this film as well. And like I said, my mom passed away, but I know what her views were because we discussed them a lot. And I want to get those out there because I don't see that information anywhere. Reviews I've seen of this or analysis of, there's some good ones out there, but my mom went into a much deeper, what the deeper meaning was to the visuals and the thematic underpinning of that movie. I want to get that out there. So what I just wrote here, just as a quick little thing here, I dedicate this channel to my loving mother, Marjorie, who always encouraged and allowed her son to dream, especially in regards to the original Star Trek series and Star Trek the Motion Picture specifically. Dream grand scale dreams about silly human emotions and the drive that compels us to overcome them. That video I've agreed to do for my kids, to leave a permanent account of my opinion on this specific film before I can no longer do that. these are the opinions that I have formed over the last 40 plus years. And like I said, they're not just my opinions, they're my mother Marjorie's opinions. So this video that I do for Star Trek the Motion Picture, the next video will be a permanent recording for prosperity for my son Cole and Ethan, who I leave behind. It's something they can look back on, remember the time that I did the commentary for them and we watched that movie when I got back from the hospital. Just something there for them. And I plan to do, I already have a bunch of ideas for videos, my takes on things, most of it Star Trek related. So I'm hoping that you'll join me on this, and we'll take one step at a time, one video at a time. I don't know how many I'll be able to do or over what sort of period here. There's a lot of variables here, but I'll release as much content as I can if I think it's something that people would be interested in seeing, and we'll see where it goes. So anyways, thank you for joining me, and God bless. And like I said, I think the first real video will probably be in about a week. Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you.